Victoria's lips pressed against my skin, her touch sending waves of heat through me. The warmth of her breath lingered, her movements slow, deliberate. I was lost in the moment until the door creaked open. Nathan stepped inside. Victoria didn't stop. She only glanced back, smirking as she met his gaze. "Come in, darling. We were just waiting for you before we go any further. Take a quick second to like this video and hit subscribe. It only takes a moment and helps more than you know. Plus, you won't miss what happens next. Thanks for being here now. Let's begin. You knew this dinner wasn't just about dinner, didn't you?" Victoria's voice was smooth, teasing, but there was weight behind it, a quiet challenge. I hesitated, fingers grazing the stem of my wine glass across the table. Her husband Nathan watched me with quiet amusement, swirling his own drink like he already knew. The air between us was thick with something unspoken, something I hadn't fully acknowledged until now. I swallowed, my throat suddenly dry. I didn't assume anything. Victoria's lips curved as she leaned in slightly. "But you're here." Her words sent a slow prickle down my spine. The invitation had seemed casual, a friendly dinner at her home, a gesture of appreciation. I hadn't questioned it, but now with her watching me like this, with Nathan's gaze drifting over me in quiet assessment, I wondered if I'd been naive. Nathan exhaled, setting his glass down with a quiet clink. "We're glad you came." Victoria reached for the wine, tilting the bottle toward my glass. Her fingers grazed mine as she poured a touch so light it could have been accidental. But wasn't I? Let out a slow breath. This wasn't just dinner, and I wasn't just a guest. Victoria poured me another glass of wine, her fingers barely brushing mine as she passed it over, a small touch, fleeting but too deliberate to be an accident. Nathan was talking about something business maybe, or a trip they had planned, but my mind was already slipping, lost in the weight of Victoria's gaze. Then I felt it, a hand on my knee, soft, warm, resting there like it belonged. I stiffened slightly, my fingers tightening around my glass. She didn't hesitate. Her touch was confident, testing, waiting. Nathan continued, speaking, his voice even relaxed, but I caught it, the slight upward curve at the corner of his mouth. He knew. Victoria's fingers drifted, trailing up the inside of my thigh, slowly testing boundaries, ignoring them. Heat coiled in my stomach. I exhaled through my nose, keeping my expression neutral, but my body betrayed me. My breath hitched, my skin pickled under her touch. "Are you enjoying yourself?" Victoria murmured the question, sent a slow shiver up my spine. I parted my lips to answer, but her fingers slid higher, and whatever I was about to say disappeared into a sharp inhale. Nathan leaned forward, slightly swirling his drink. "She's quiet." All of a sudden. Victoria smiled, her fingertips pressing in just slightly, just enough to make my thighs tense beneath the table. I forced a breath. You. Yeah, of course." Nathan chuckled, setting his glass down with a quiet clink. "You seem a little warm?" Victoria's fingers drifted higher, still just beneath the hem of my dress. Now her touch, slow, lazy, like she had all the time in the world. I swallowed, gripping my glass a little too tightly. This was a game, and I was losing, finally, carefully. I reached down and caught her wrist, not forcefully, just enough to make her stop. A silent acknowledgement, a warning. Victoria didn't move right away. She just smiled, her fingers flexing against my thigh, tracing one last slow, lingering stroke before she withdrew. Her eyes held mine, a knowing smirk, curving her lips as she exhaled. She had made her point. She already knew how this night would end, and somehow I did too. I placed my napkin down, inhaling carefully as I pushed back my chair. "Excuse me," I murmured, keeping my voice steady even as my pulse raced. Nathan gave me a knowing glance, but said nothing. Victoria only smirked, fingers idly tracing the rim of her wine glass. I walked to the bathroom, my heels clicking against the marble floor, shutting the door behind me. My fingers curled around the edge of the sink as I exhaled, staring at my reflection. My skin was warm, my breathing uneven. I needed a moment to think to push away the heat. Still lingering from Victoria's touch under the table, the door opened. I turned just as Victoria stepped inside and locked it behind her. The door shut with a quiet click. Before I could react, Victoria's hands were already on my waist, spinning me to face her, pressing me back against the sink. Her lips claimed mine in an instant, hot, demanding, leaving no room for hesitation. Heat surged through me, my breath hitched, but I didn't push her away. When she pulled back, her lips were curved, her voice silk against my skin. I think it's time we stopped pretending. I swallowed hard, gripping the counter behind me. Pretending what? She hummed, her fingers trailing up my side, teasing deliberate that you don't want this. Her lips brushed my jaw slow, savoring that I didn't see it in your eyes. The moment you walked in tonight, I sucked in a breath as her hands roamed lower, her touch confident, claiming. And Nathan. I managed. She smiled, pressing closer. We invited you here for a reason. Her words sent a shiver through me. There was no more subtext, no more teasing. She was laying it out clearly, her fingers tightening around my waist. As she waited for my answer, my pulse pounded. As I held her gaze, I already knew what I was going to say. I didn't say no. Victoria took my hand the moment we stepped out of the bathroom, but instead of leading me back to the dining table, she turned the other way. The shift was subtle, effortless, like she had already decided where this night was going, and all I had to do was follow. Nathan barely looked up from his drink as we passed. I'll be up soon, he mused, voice smooth, assured. Victoria glanced back at him, her smirk playful yet unmistakably possessive. Take your time, I'll have her ready for you. A slow heat spread through me, curling deep in my stomach as we moved down the dimly lit hallway. The anticipation between us had thickened each step forward, leaving less room for second thoughts. Victoria pushed open a door at the end of the hall, revealing a bedroom bathed in the soft glow of warm lighting. The sheets pristine, the space unmistakably intimate. She turned to me the moment the door shut, wasting no time as her hand slid over my shoulders, fingertips grazing the straps of my dress. Her touch was confident, deliberate, her lips brushing my skin as she whispered, "You don't need this anymore." The fabric slipped down with ease, pooling at my feet. My breath hitched as her hands moved lower, smoothing over my waist, trailing along my hips as if she were memorizing every inch of exposed skin. Her lips followed the same path, pressing slow, lingering kisses against my skin, each one sending a pulse of warmth through me. Her hum of approval sent a shiver through me. "Beautiful," she murmured, voice thick with satisfaction, like she had been waiting for this moment all night. Before I could fully react, her hands guided me backward, pressing me into the sheets. As she settled against me, a soft gasp left my lips as she moved with confidence, her touch unhurried, savoring every reaction. The mattress met my back in a dizzying blur. The cool sheets a sharp contrast to the warmth of her body, so close to mine. Victoria stood over me for a moment, eyes dark with intent. As she reached for the hem of her own dress, she peeled it away, inch by inch, revealing smooth, golden skin beneath the soft fabric. My breath caught as she let it fall to the floor, the sight of her utterly captivating. But there was no time to admire. She was already leaning in her lips, trailing over my skin, warm and searching, her hands pressed against my waist, guiding me deeper into the bed as her mouth followed her breath hot against my skin. Each motion was deliberate, calculated, drawing me further under her spell. The sensation sent waves of warmth through me, leaving my body impossibly aware of every movement, every lingering touch. Victoria's body pressed against mine, her lips trailing over my skin, sending waves of heat through me. My breath came in shallow gasps, every inch of my body burning under her touch. I had lost track of time, lost in the way she moved, in the way she took her time unraveling me piece by piece. Then I felt it, a shift in the air, a presence. My eyes flickered open, and there he was, Nathan. He stood at the doorway watching us, his expression unreadable. Yet his body language said everything, the way he leaned against the frame, the way his gaze darkened as it swept over me, over Victoria.
He had been waiting for this moment. Victoria didn't stop, if anything. She only became more deliberate, her mouth pressing deeper against my skin, her hands gripping me with quiet control like she was showing off. Nathan's smirk deepened as he stepped forward, his hands moving to loosen his tie, then to the buttons of his shirt, peeling away the layers. One by one, there was no hurry, no rush, just quiet confidence like he had all the time in the world. Victoria finally glanced up, her lips glistening as she met his gaze. "Took you long enough." Nathan chuckled, shrugging off the last piece of fabric before joining us. His warmth, his presence, his dominance filled the space instantly. He kneeled beside me, his hands skimming over my skin, testing, exploring as if committing every curve to memory. Victoria smirked as she shifted, making space for him, but she didn't move far. She wasn't done with me yet.
Nathan's fingers traced my jaw, tilting my head up toward him. His touch was gentle, but commanding a silent request, an unspoken challenge. I parted my lips, letting him guide me, my body. Responding instinctively to the weight of his presence, Nathan's breath hitched, his fingers tightening in my hair. As I moved slowly, deliberately savoring the control, I suddenly had the low sound of approval that rumbled from his throat, sent another thrill through me. Victoria watched with clear satisfaction, her hands never leaving my body, her lips brushing against my skin as she murmured, "I love watching you like this." The moment stretched thick with tension until Nathan finally exhaled, pulling away just enough to shift the dynamic. His hands found my waist, guiding me back against the sheets as he moved downward. Victoria took her opportunity, shifting above me, her body warm and demanding as she settled over my lips. The sensation was intoxicating, her skin burning against mine, her fingers threading through my hair as she guided me, where she wanted me. Nathan worked with practiced ease, his touch precise, controlled, as if he knew exactly how to unravel me. Every movement was in sync, every touch deliberate, their rhythm built slowly, wave after wave, leaving me breathless, held between them in the heat of the moment. Then Nathan leaned in his presence, closing the space between us. My breath shattered, my fingers gripping Victoria's hips as a dizzying sensation rushed through me. I was surrounded by warmth, drawn deeper into their touch. Victoria exhaled a pleased hum, her body shifting as she adjusted. "That's it." She purged her voice, breathless. "Let yourself feel everything." Their movements sync, deepening, intensifying Nathan's grip steamy. His pace measured but unrelenting. Victoria was just as ruthless, pressing against me, leaving no part of me untouched. The rhythm shifted again, Victoria trailing, soft touches lower, keeping me breathless. Her lips found mine in a breathless kiss as her hands roamed freely, teasing, pulling me deeper into the moment. Then she turned me over, adjusting me effortlessly, guiding me with quiet confidence. Nathan was right behind me, his hands steadying me, keeping me in place. As he adjusted the moment he did, Victoria leaned in front of me, her breath warm against my skin, lingering as if savoring the moment I was held between them, surrounded by their warmth, the intensity building in perfect rhythm. Their pace quickened, their movements seamless, working together until the tension reached a breaking point, leaving me breathless. And when it finally came, when the moment reached its peak, a final rush of sensation overwhelmed us all. It was together. I sat there breathless, the weight of what just happened settling over me. Maybe I should have felt hesitant. Maybe I should have walked away. But deep down I knew I never would have some men spend their whole lives chasing the wrong kind of adventure, never realizing the best ones come when you least expect them. If a woman like Victoria made you this kind of offer, would you take the risk or let the moment slip away forever? Be honest. I want to know. Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another one. Thanks for all your support. See you in the next one.